Welcome back to Writing Done Right. Well, today we have a viewer requested video. What are the steps that I use to write a book? And there's different steps for a fiction versus a nonfiction book. And so I want to kind of address the nonfiction here today, and maybe we can address the fiction after I have released the first official fiction book and working on the next one. Then we'll have a better idea. But regardless, I want to go ahead and go into some steps here. All right, so I identified 6 basic steps. There might be more or less, depending on how we go. I have this roughly outlined, so we'll see how this ends up working. So we want to look at the steps to write a nonfiction book. My first step is that I like to get my idea and my rough outline. I include that in a single first step. Get an idea, think about it, jot down a few notes, think about how this might work, and I just kind of do sort of a roughish type of outline. That's easy. First step, done. Step number 2, I'm going to research various views on this point. So let's take, for example, a theological argument, because I have most experience in the nonfiction Christian. I look at a theological argument. I want to discuss, is it Calvinism? Is it Arminianism? First thing I really need to know is I need to know the views. So what are all of the different viewpoints? If you're doing some general nonfiction, like I have one planned for like minimalism and things like that, what are the different views of minimalism? Does minimalism mean that I have nothing at all? Or does it mean that the only things that I have are those that have absolute intrinsic value? Interesting questions. So we have to research all the different views, and then I want to find resources and other references. So I want to take some time to do a little bit of research out. I want to read some extra books, maybe listen to some podcasts, watch a few videos online, see what different people are saying, make a few notes that they have. I might go into some scientific literature or some theological literature in the case of the Christian nonfiction stuff. Whatever that happens to look like, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So once I get the rough outline and some research stuff, the next step is going to be put it on paper. I have a whole video on this, which I'll go ahead and link in the description and in the cards here on this channel. So putting it on paper generically, again, I have a whole video on this, so I'll just kind of briefly summarize. I'm going to write out an essay on the entire thing. And then from that essay, I'm going to tease out outline points and bullet points. And then I'm going to write out the essays of each one of the individual books, and then I'm going to start working on it. Now, once that whole step is done, again, I have a whole video on that. I'm going to step number 4, write out the whole draft. Now, sometimes I will format it as I go. Sometimes I just write. It depends on the book. Like, I have my Kings of All Creation series, which the black book back here is part of. That book there, they all are using the exact same formatting. So I literally just pick up the last copy, delete all the words, and rebuild it because it will automatically format itself as I write. It saves me a lot of time at the end in reformatting the manuscript when it's already formatted to start, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing on that respect there. So I'm putting it out on, writing it out on LibreOffice. And once I get it out on LibreOffice, whether it's formatted or not, like these books, beta readers see it when it's formatted usually, or in this case, your beta readers, if it's not being formatted right, I'm not going to take the time to format that during the beta reading and the advanced reading copy sections. In this case, what I'm going to be doing is just passing out a watermarked PDF of just the 8.5 by 11, generic computer file, or maybe I might just do a generic ebook file that's just quick and easy and dirty and ugly. No big deals on that for the beta reading program, depending on how people want to see it. But what we wanted to do there is I get it all written, and then in LibreOffice, where I'm doing the final production, I'm doing the final writing, I want to get some of these, I want to get as many edits and corrections back into the thing before I really start the production, because it can be a little bit more annoying to edit the full produced one. Not so much, but a little bit. And so once I get the beta reader comments back and maybe some initial editing comments back and start kind of massaging the thing, at this point in time, Usually, in fact, it's during the beta reading. I'm going to start thinking about the production, what I want the book to look like. I'm going to start looking for fonts. At this stage is actually when I'm doing the book cover. So usually I have an idea what the book cover is going to look like, but when the beta readers have it, it's when I'm going to take the time, because I have a little bit more downtime on this book as other people are doing their task. So now I'm working on the book cover designs. I'll have a rough idea how many pages. At least I'm doing a front book cover. You can't do the full thing until you know your page count, just to keep that in mind. But you can get your front cover done. You can actually have the back cover done. You just gotta wait for the page count to figure out how wide the binding is and how to do your binding. So I'm gonna be producing it in the middle of step 4. Now, once I get back the editorial notes, the beta reader notes, I start integrating these things in. We're still not completely done, but this is really the step where I'm going to take some time to format it. Right about the time I'm formatting it, either right before I format it or right after I format it, then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to export from LibreOffice. I'm going to export as an ebook, which gives us a very ugly, very raw ebook file. Not nearly as ugly as using the online converter tools. You don't want to use those. Just use the export directly as an ebook in LibreOffice function. It's going to give you just basically a generic EPUB 3 with a single page in there. And now I can go in there, open up my application in Sigil, and start making my actual real ebook. So at that point in time, I'm going to have the book going through formatting process. At this point in time, I'll send it out to another editor so that they can go ahead and get the editing process done. While they are doing that, I'm actually going to build the ebook. This does introduce another complication in that when the editorial notes have to come back, I actually have to disperse those editorial notes across 2 platforms. One is the formatted book file, and the second is the ebook. I've actually found that's not super annoying to do, and I just like doing it at this step here because, again, I have more downtime as the editor's moving on their step. But I also, by this point in time, I'm formatting the book, so I know how the page count is. So at this step, I'm doing the full cover design, the entire full thing. Now, once we are done with the produced book, done with the ebook, we should be pretty close to ready to publish it, but I want to do one more solid read through. And I have found the very best read through you can do is in our last step. Start recording the audiobook files. So, of course, in nonfiction, when the author reads the book, it's generally better. Even if you're not the one doing the final production, you should at least be doing some recording. When you are reading it out loud for an ebook you read, you are going to find the last of the grammatical issues, the last of the editorial issues. So that is my last edit before the book goes into publication. So I'm going to read all of the book into my microphones, recording my audiobook files, making any note of any edits along the way, integrating those in as I go. So basically when I'm done with a chapter, go through, integrate into the chapter. Do that step over and over like that. And then once that is done, before I produce the audiobook, now I consider the print and the ebook ready to go to publication and production. So I go ahead and ship those guys off. So the ebook and the print book hits the production line before the audiobooks do. Of course, KDP, you launch the book on KDP, they're pretty much up within 24 hours in general. It could take up to 2 days, but generally it takes like less than 12 hours. For your audiobooks, I wait. Once the files are recorded, I get the publication out there. You know, you might have about a week or so turnaround to get them out on Ingram Spark. And even then, once it's on Ingram, then it's going to take a period of time, sometimes up to a month, to get pushed out to all the different ebook retailers. During this period of time, this is when I'm working on producing the audiobook files. So hopefully about the time the audiobook files are done, the print and ebook should be distributed out everywhere online. Now I have my audiobook files. I put them up on ACX first because that's the quickest to do, and then drop them on Findaway Voices, get them out to the rest of the distribution. So that's kind of my start to finish, how we make this work, starting with a nonfiction book from concept, in the order that I actually run and produce my books. So that is what my ideas are. So thanks for watching this video. Don't forget, like the video, comment some videos, give me some ideas, some things that you're thinking about in your writing. You can follow me over on Twitter, WritingDoneRight. There will be a link in there on the end screen and down on the screen here. So you can follow along over there. I also am on Mastodon on the Writing.exchange server. You can find me over there, WritingDoneRight over there. And have a look at the rest of the links in the description down below, where I also have links to pick up all of the books that I have. So with that, thanks for watching this video, and I hope that we will help you to get your writing done right.